Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by the universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be released by the pure mind, freed from all the visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectable obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of the knowledge in the devotional service. Text 40th. O lifter of the earth with its mountain, which you have lifted with your tusk, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower with the leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. Text 41. O Lord, as the peaks of the great mountains became beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusk. Text 42. O Lord of the residential purpose of all inhabitants, both moving and the non moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectable obeisances unto you, along with the Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrifice put fire in the Arani wood. Text 43. Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you, however, because you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. But your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation. Text 44. O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pure planets, the Jena, Tapas, and Satyaloka, but still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. Text 45. O Lord, there is no limit to your wonderful activities. Anyone who desired to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. Text 46. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord, being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water. Text 47. In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on the water, he returned to his own abode. Text 48. If one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. Text 49. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone, but the transcendental achievement one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in the transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfection stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Text 50th. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not to be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of the narration about the personality of Godhead activities, which by itself can deliver one from all the material pangs? Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of third canto, 13th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Appearance of Lord Varaha. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Madhuri. Hare Krishna. Let me offer my prayers and we can start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chekshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desutarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. It's a very wonderful section. Lots of things towards the end of this chapter that is titled Appearance of Lord Varaha, especially describing the glories of the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord, mercy of the Supreme Lord, merciful nature of the Supreme Lord, inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Lord, and glories of hearing Krishna Katha. Everything is mentioned nicely in the last set of verses. So we'll go through. Let me share my screen. So I had this slides from before for another class I did. So I'm reusing them so that with some content I adjusted for this session. So let's go through that. So basically, if you remember this chapter, beginning of this chapter, Vidura inquired Maitreya Muni about Swayambhu Manu and his dynasty, because the previous chapter ended with Swayambhu Manu having two sons and three daughters like that. So in that, so that is what is getting started now. So basically, the conversation goes to Maitreya Muni describes the conversation between Brahma and Swayambhu Manu, which we discussed in previous sessions. Essentially, Brahma was very, very pleased with Swayambhu Manu's attitude to readily serve, is eagerly to obey the instructions of his superior, in this case, his father and spiritual master. So then, Swayambhu Manu, seeing the eagerness of his disciple and son to carry out the instructions that he wants to give, Brahma gave him instructions to beget children, to rule the planet nicely, and then also to worship the Supreme Lord. Those are the three main instructions he gave. And then Swayambhu Manu is ready to follow the instructions, but the Yat is not there. So where can he rule from? So Yat is gone into the Garbhodaka ocean. So that time he requests Lord Brahma, so can you please help me to do my duties? Where can I stay? Then Brahma is not in Brahma's capacity to take care of that situation. So Brahma naturally turns toward the Supreme Lord, like all the devotees naturally do. Whenever something is beyond us, we we turn towards the Supreme Lord, whether either to get a solution or to seek shelter of Krishna, saying that Krishna, I want to continue my relationship with you. I don't know what to do in this situation, but please give me the strength to deal with it in such a way that my relationship with you can continue. Like that, a devotee prays. So, like that, Lord Brahma was in meditation of the Supreme Lord. That time, we heard about how Varaha avatar appeared. Sukadeva Goswami describes both Sweta Varaha and also Neela Varaha, uh, both incarnations of Varaha in different Manvantaras, Swayambhu Manvantara and Chakshusa Manvantara, wherein two main aspects are described in the past time. One is Varahadeva lifting the earth on his tusks. That is one main aspect to protect the earth. And the second aspect described in the past time, especially with Neela Varaha, was how uh, Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha demon like that. So now, after that section, the sages who are observing from the higher planets, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, Brahmaloka, those sages who are observing this Leela of Supreme Lord, this pastime of the Supreme Lord, they started to glorify Varahadev. So we heard few verses already where sages offered beautiful prayers of Varahadev. And we'll continue the prayers from 39th verse today. Basically, these prayers are a golden opportunity for us to understand the nature of the Supreme Lord, uh, the beauty of process of bhakti, and especially the transcendental nature of the Lord. So that's what we're going to hear more and more. So let me go to that verses now, 39th verse, because that's where we are starting today. So they are offering obeisances, saying that, let me put in slideshow mode. So hopefully it is better. So they're offering, who are offering prayers? The sages from higher planets. Higher planets where? Within the material universe only, not in the spiritual world. So they're offering prayers saying that you are worshipable by universal prayers and Vedic hymns and sacrificial ingredients. And then you are supreme form of all sacrifice. In fact, the previous verses were talking about how Supreme Lord's form is a form of sacrifice like that. So they're concluding that section way here. And then this is the main aspect that Sri Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport, to expand on the purport. What is he saying? He's only realized by one who conquered the mind, one who purifies his mind by bhakti, with the detachment, he says. The sages are saying. And Prabhupada expands on this point in the purport. Basically, this is a common theme in across Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Supreme Lord cannot be understood by mental speculation. Supreme Lord cannot be understood by our own endeavor alone. So, to understand Supreme Lord, we need to worship the Supreme Lord and develop some love and feelings towards the Supreme Lord. And when we worship the Supreme Lord with love and devotion, then Supreme Lord will give us mercy to understand some aspects of Him, not everything about Him, but some aspects of Him, which are otherwise not accessible to anyone by their own endeavor. Even great scholars with mental speculation cannot understand Supreme Lord. That's the point being emphasized here in this particular verse also. So that was the 39th verse, where is being glorified. The Supreme Lord can be understood by purification of the mind, which happens through devotion service. That's the best form of purifying the mind. Of course, generally it's understood just by yoga practice, one can control the mind and senses. But ultimately, only by bhakti, we can completely purify the mind of all the material contaminations. So that is why that is what is being recommended, bhakti. Now, in the 40th and 41st verses, they glorify Varahadev as he is holding the earth on top of his tusks that are there. So, primarily in the 40th verse, they glorify how earth is looking beautiful. In the 41st verse, they glorify how Supreme Lord himself is looking beautiful in this form like that. So, basically, they're saying in the 40th verse that how he's appearing like an elephant who is holding lotus flower with its trunk like that. Basically, they're glorifying the great fortune of the earth planet because Supreme Lord is touching the earth and lifting the earth like that. And Supreme Lord is doing, investing his potencies that will come in the next verse also, investing in potencies. So, to sustain the earth like that. That's why earth's beauty is appreciated in relation to Krishna, not independent of Krishna. Okay. In fact, this is one of the things we also need to cultivate as devotees, to see everything in connection with the Supreme Lord. How when something beautiful we see, we need to understand that's only possible because of the his source being the Supreme Lord. Whether it's somebody's abilities, some beautiful thing in the nature, or something somebody has very great knowledge, whatever it is, we should see in relation to the Supreme Lord. So actually, in one of the verses coming up, we'll see that lesson also coming up also. So now in the 41st verse, they're glorifying Supreme Lord with the analogy of a mountain decorated with clouds. Uh, Mountain, on top of the mountain, when clouds are there, there are two aspects described in this verse. One is it creates an illusion. Illusion means as if the mountains are supported by the mountains are supporting the clouds. Somebody may think like that, but actually they are separated. But somebody may think, oh, clouds have taken shelter on the mountains like that, and mountain is supporting it like that. That is one illusion. Second thing is at the same time, clouds on top of mountains look beautiful. So actually, especially I remember in childhood, we used to do a lot of water paint coloring. Many times, the scenery we used to draw was mountains, clouds, sun, and then some water on the bottom, some trees like that. So because it's very beautiful like that. So it's comparing the Supreme Lord in the form of a boar, Varahadev, lifting the earth with that similar way. How does it analogy relate to this Supreme Lord in this case? Similar to how mountain appears to be supporting the clouds, it here Varahadev appears to be sustaining the earth with his tusks. In reality, he doesn't need to do that because of Supreme Lord's inconceivable potencies. everything, all the planets are in the orbits already. But here it appears he is doing some work to keep it sustained like that. That is the illusion aspect of the analogy. And the beautiful aspect of analogy is he looks beautiful with the earth being lifted like that. Even though it's a boring incarnation, still he appears transcendently beautiful like that. Now going to the 42nd verse, they're glorifying that you and your wife earth are our father and mother, and you have invested your own potency in Mother Earth. What is that potency they're talking about? Because of Supreme Lord potency only, Earth and other planets are staying in their orbit, number one. And Earth is can be a suitable place for jivas, whether it's moving creatures like us, animals, birds, or even plants and trees also, non-moving creatures. So how, because of the Supreme Lord investing his potency only, Earth is able to produce so many fruits, flowers. There's water in the planet. So we are able to live because of Supreme Lord's potencies. That is the point they're glorifying here. And the purport, Prabhupada emphasizes one important thing, which is generally people think, oh, I'm from India, India is great. I'm from America, America is great. So they have worshipful tendencies only towards motherland or mother nature, whatever is happening in the world. But we should see behind that there is a Supreme Lord. Just like how father impregnates the child into the womb of the mother, Supreme Lord impregnated jivas into the material nature in the material world with all his energies for sustenance and maintenance. So that means we should see the hand of the father also, not just the mother. Why this? Why this? Prabhupada emphasized this many many times, because many people have the nature and the tendency. Like for example, Diwali is coming up. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them worship only Lakshmi Devi. They don't care about Narayana. So, so Prabhupada keeps emphasizing that we should worship both Lakshmi and Narayana. Like that, Supreme Lord and his consort both together. In fact, many places, not in this purport, but many places, Prabhupada describes how Lakshmi Devi is Chanchala. That means she will not stay at one place, but she will always stay with her husband, Supreme Lord. So if you worship Supreme Lord, we can ensure Lakshmi Devi also with her, like that. That's how Prabhupada commonly describes this principle also. So now going to the next verse, still we are in the prayers of the sages. So they are saying, who else but you can deliver the earth? No one has the capacity to deliver the earth from this situation now. But it's not so wonderful that you deliver the earth, because by your inconceivable potencies, you created this whole cosmic manifestation. So this is nothing for you. So it's not so great like that, is they saying. So that is important lesson for us in this picture, in this verse purport, in this verse itself. Basically, common people who cannot see the hand of Krishna in everything, they see a scientist discover a wonderful thing. They cannot understand the whatever scientists created with their brain. That brain is given by Supreme Lord Himself. Whereas devotees can see that. And similarly, there is something very wonderful happening in the world. Then they give all credit to, wow, creation is so beautiful, nature is so beautiful. They stop there only. But intelligent person, devotee in Krishna consciousness, can see the somebody behind that, the brain of Krishna behind that wonderful thing, wonderful creation like that. So that is what Prabhupada is encouraging in the purport for us also. That we should see the hand of Krishna in anything wonderful that is happening in this world. So similarly, the sages are able to see that. Sages are saying this whole creation one is wonderful. So then you just lifting a earth is nothing. You're doing so many wonderful things already with your inconceivable potencies like that. In fact, Jiva Goswami describes, unless we accept that Supreme Lord has inconceivable potencies. Inconceivable means something we may not be able to understand also. How did Supreme Lord lift earth, such a big thing? You may not understand some of these things. But still, Supreme Lord has those inconceivable potencies. When we accept that, we can understand, wow, Supreme Lord can act like this with his potency like that. So that is about the 43rd verse. Going to the next verse, 44th verse, they're saying the sages from the higher planet systems, Janloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, these these sages are saying, actually they're very, very pious sages because they're higher planet systems. Naturally, they've done a lot of pious activities, but they're still in the material world. So they're saying we're actually purified in your form as boar. When you shake your body from your hairs of the body, some water sprinkled on us, and that purified us from our contaminations. They're saying like that. So how come? That means even though they're great sages, even though they're in higher planetary systems in the material world, there are certain material impurities in that higher planets also, because it's not spiritual world, it's still in the material world only. So that's why they're saying they're purified. That's one aspect. Second aspect is ordinary bore. If something comes from ordinary bore, we'll say, oh, it's not nice, it's filthy like that, right? But here it's Supreme Lord in his transcendental form has come as bore. So that's why the water coming out of his hair is so purifying, similar to Ganges water. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. Because anything related to Supreme Lord is absolute and transcendental. That's why the water coming from his body, even though it's in the form of boar. So we can never deride that form. Is a great worshipable form of the Lord, and it's transcendental and purifying also. So that's the other point Prabhupada is making the purport. Now going to the 45th verse, they are trying to get to the conclusion of their prayers. So they're saying your wonderful activities are unlimited. So how much we can describe? We can only describe few things only. But your activities are so wonderful and unlimited. So, and also they're indicating here that somebody from mental speculation, they cannot think, oh, Lord can do this, Lord can do that, like that. It is beyond mental speculation. Nobody can know you. But, and people are bewildered by your Maya potency. So, please bestow your mercy on all the conditioned souls. Notice they're not asking, please give us mercy, don't worry about others. No, they're saying, please bestow your mercy on conditioned souls. Because they understood they're in a greater position already. Because they understood the nature of Krishna, they understood the importance and value of bhakti. So they can engage in bhakti and they can be absorbed in Krishna, Krishna Katha. So they can be happy without any miseries. Whereas they're worried about the conditioned souls who are suffering. That's why they're saying, please give your mercy to them like that. That is the 44th and 45th verses. In the next two verses, after the prayers are done by all the sages now like this, notice they ended the prayers with asking for mercy for all of us, not for them. That is the nature of devotees and great saintly personalities. So, in the next two verses, the Lord heard their prayers and the Lord kept the earth in his position, it seems, and then he went back to his abode, his spiritual abode. So somebody may think, how is it possible that earth can float like that in space? How did the Lord do it? So this is what again the message is being emphasized about how activities of the Lord via his potencies are inconceivable. We may not be able to understand everything, but still Lord has great potencies that we may not be able to appreciate fully. So then other point being appreciated in the purport is that Lord came down as an incarnation, as a boar incarnation, and he went back. So it's not like an ordinary jiva like any one of us, where because of our past karma, because of our past desires, we are forced to come and take up a body. And then we are forced to leave this particular body and take another body like that. No, Supreme Lord is a transcendental form, transcendental body, not a material body like any one of us. So that's why he comes as incarnation and departs at his own will like that. Now in the 40th verse, this is the last three verses are the concluding verses that are glorifying with a falasruti. What is the benefit of hearing these pastimes? What is the glory of hearing Krishna Katha? That is what is being described here, along with the merciful nature of the Supreme Lord, like that. So, these sort of verses we need to internalize in our heart to appreciate the benefit and value of hearing Krishna Katha, and the great fortune we all have to hear Krishna Katha from so many devotees around the world now. So that is what we can appreciate from these last three verses. So let us go through them. 40th verse, we'll also look at the purport. I didn't make notes here in the slide. Let me go to the purport also. Yeah, 40th verse. 40th verse, this is describing how this is a Falasruti. If one hears this pastime with a devotional attitude, not like, oh, is it really true? How can he do that? How can that happen? That doesn't make sense. Not that attitude, but devotional attitude. What does devotional attitude means? Like in a submissive attitude and being wanting to know about the Lord, wanting to develop our relationship with the Lord. With that attitude, we listen to this pastime and we give the opportunity for others to hear this pastime. Then Supreme Lord is very pleased. In fact, all our devotion service we are doing to please Krishna. So we're getting a secret here how to please Krishna by hearing Krishna Katha and by giving opportunity to hear Krishna Katha. That is why in the Kartik month, many devotees have a program at their home and invite few families that they know who may not ordinarily hear any Krishna Katha, who may not ordinarily worship Krishna, who may not ordinarily be able to offer lamb to Damodar in this month, which is very, very auspicious. So they extend that benefit to others by letting others also to hear some Krishna Katha, by letting others to offer lamb, others to know that, oh, if you offer lamp in Kartik month, it's so beneficial. Not just on the last day, Kartik Purnima day. Every day, if you offer, it's even more important, like that. So they will understand that. And this is the month many devotees, like some of the devotees especially, are working so hard to go to others. Please take this Bhagavad Gita. Please give us some sponsorship so that we can distribute Bhagavad Gita on your behalf. Or please take this case of Bhagavad Gita and you distribute to your friends. Like that, they're going. So this is all pleasing to the Lord. So whenever we do something to grow in our relation to Krishna by hearing Krishna Katha and by improving our sadhana, or when we're helping others to go closer to Krishna, both are very pleasing to Krishna. That's what we can learn from this verse. So, and in this purport, Prabhupada emphasizes two more points. One is that by hearing such Krishna Katha, one will get strength and can deal with the material miseries that are coming in the way. That is number one. Number two, Prabhupada also emphasizes that it's a Supreme Lord's causeless mercy that by coming like this in different incarnations and doing these pastimes, is actually leaving a history, leaving a story, leaving a pastime for us to speak, for us to hear and benefit and purify and go back to him like that. So that is a supremely merciful nature Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport. Going to the next verse, he says, 49th verse. So previous verse is saying, Krishna is pleased when we hear this pastime or when we let others hear Krishna Katha. But now, why do we need to please Krishna? What happens if we please Krishna? That's what is being emphasized here. What happens when we please Krishna? We'll get all the blessings from Supreme Lord. There's no blessing that is unobtainable when the Lord is pleased with someone. So Lord gives his own spiritual abode to somebody like that. In fact, this month we're meditating on the pastime of Damodar Leela, which is glorifying the Vatsalya Prema, Mother Yashoda, as the epitome of Vatsalya Prema, the highest of Vatsalya Prema that can be exhibited is done by Mother Yashoda through binding of Krishna. So such a great fortune was never possible for any devotee. So that is what is being glorified here. Krishna will give that highest blessings when he is pleased. That's why devotees do their bhakti to please Krishna, not mechanically. So this is a beautiful verse and purport. You can also read this purport. Let me go through a couple of points on the purport. Yeah. So two main points in the purport is that Prabhupada is quoting the Bhagavad Gita 10.10 verse, where Dadami Buddhi Yogantam verse is being described in the paraphrased in the purport, that Krishna will give us mercy when we do sincere devotion service. Then sincere, that word also I explained. So when we do sincere devotion service, then Krishna will give us the intelligence to do the next step, next step, next step to grow in devotion service. Number one point Prabhupada is making, which is hope giving, which is inspiring, that Krishna will take care of us, Krishna will guide us, Krishna will assist us in devotion service. Not that we are alone by our own strength like that. The second aspect Prabhupada talks about is, that means we should make sure our desire is sincere in doing devotion service. I should not do devotion service with a desire like I should become famous, I should get rid of my pain, I should get rid of this problem, I should get this enjoyment, material enjoyment. Not like that. We should watch out for our material desires. So, but cultivate sincere spiritual desire to develop relationship with Krishna, awaken our pure Krishna prema. With that desires, if you go, then Krishna will reciprocate with that desires by giving the right intelligence to go towards him. Those are the two main points Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. But please read it. It's short purport, but amazing purport. I'll also send it in the message. So the last verse for today is the 50th verse. So now, notice 48th verse said, when we hear Krishna Katha and when we help others hear Krishna Katha, then Krishna is pleased. And 49th verse said, when Krishna is pleased, we'll get all blessings, including the guidance to go back to him, to be eternally happy always like that, including going back to his spiritual abode like that. So now he's saying the unfortunate position of people who don't hear Krishna Katha. Who don't hear Krishna Katha? Those who are not really understanding the value and importance of human life and purpose of human life. Those people do not hear Krishna Katha, is saying. Because Krishna Katha can deliver somebody from all these material pangs and material sufferings in this world by delivering us to spiritual abode. So such a persons who don't understand the human life purpose, they don't hear Krishna Katha like that is describing. So in the purport, Prabhupada makes a point that as a human being, what is the purpose of life? Purpose of life is to develop, reawaken our relationship with Krishna, reawaken our pure love for Krishna, reawaken Krishna prema. So we, that is the real thing we can do in the human form of life. Though we have so many different purposes we need to do in life. I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that, I need to take care of him, I need to take care of her, like that. But then ultimate purpose of human life is to develop that Krishna prema. So to develop Krishna prema, we know from Prahlad Maharaj, it starts with Shravanam Kirtanam. Shravanam is the starting point. Hearing Krishna Katha is the starting point to, to perform devotion service, to achieve the goal of this life. So, when somebody is not paying attention to Krishna Katha, which is the starting point for devotion service, which is the starting point to achieve the success in life, then that means they are not being a human being. That's so the scriptures is emphasizing the importance of hearing Krishna Katha, importance of focusing on our purpose of life. So we'll pause there. We'll continue tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kupasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.